Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Think Tank Sports. Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen. Check us out on the socials, the Facebook, the Twitter, and the IG. Check out that we're both wearing Yankees apparel, and I have my Derek Jeter jersey on the wall behind me. Listen to us on Anchor or wherever you get your podcasts and watch us talk baseball. Finally, we get to talk some baseball on YouTube, as we'll get this podcast posted up to YouTube and you can watch us if you so desire. We know there's a select few of you that like to do that, so we'll continue to put out the content on the video side of things. But yes, we decided today we were going to talk some baseball. We mentioned it, I think, in one of the ends of one of the last podcasts. Baseball season is upon us. Spring training is going. Games are being
Classic's coming up.
Yes, the World Baseball Classic is happening very, very shortly in another week. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all the fancy rules changes, the larger than life bases, which are just crazy. But hey, I'm not doing this by myself, right? I got Mike on the other side of this imaginary wall here. So Mike, how the heck are you?
Dave, I'm doing great. I thought I did all the research on the Jake Paul Fury fight. I thought we were going to break that down punch for punch and round by round. It happened yesterday at 3:00 in the afternoon in Saudi Arabia. So, but I guess we'll rock and roll with a little baseball here. I am, in addition to the hat, I have the 1998 championship denim on, going way back to
one of the greatest teams of all time.
Yeah, the first championship when I was an adult. Obviously I saw other championships, but that was like, it had been a drought. And anyway, good times were had by all. Let's see what we're going to do for Major League Baseball this year, Dave. We put a Twitter poll up and other social media as well. Simply asking, do you like the new rules implemented by Major League Baseball this season? And I know it's hard because there's several new rules. You might like some and not others. But so far, yes, it's about time is in second place, and reluctantly okay with these rule changes is winning the poll. Also nominated, not sure yet, or Ruination of Baseball, Dave. So I almost went with Ruination of Baseball, but there's a couple things I do like. So let's get into it. Dave, I guess the first thing I asked all along is, why are we doing this? Do you know why all these rule changes are coming about? I mean,
baseball. Well, here's my opinion,
yes.
And I can do that, of course, because here on Think Tank Sports, it's you and me, and we can express our opinions. I think there's a bunch of different things going on. I think one is baseball recognizes that, I think after a long, long time, no longer America's pastime, has that, they need to start competing with some of the other sports. It's a different type of game. We know that baseball is unique. It's a niche sport, if you will, a little bit, but they had to do some things to improve pace of play, product on the field, seeing these, the batting average dipping to the lowest league-wide batting average since 1968. That's really bad. So we'll talk about the shift as one way to help combat that, or the lack of shift, I should say. And, they've been trying these things for a couple of years in the minors too. So this is not new. Read a lot of stuff that, there's a lot of players. I don't remember the percentages, but there's a fair amount of players who are in the majors now who saw some of these changes in the minors. So it's not as if the entirety of Major League Baseball and all of its players are experiencing this for the first time. I just think it's necessary. The games are very long. What did I see? Even
let me stop
Cora
you there.
said something like, "Ooh, hey, we'd like to get home a little bit earlier."
Sure.
I thought that was hilarious. Go for it.
So the pitch clock, which is probably the first one we're going to talk about, was implemented in the minors last year. The average game in Major League Baseball last year, Dave, 3 hours, 17 minutes. And that's with having to pitch the 3 pitchers and the overtime rule, 3 batters, the overtime rule, all that stuff.
Yep.
3 hours, 17 minutes. Minor league with the new pitch clock, batter clock combo, 2 hours, 32 minutes.
Yeah.
So 45 minutes roughly. That's significant. Significant.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think it'll be that drastic in the majors.
No, but you have to figure 20 to 30 minutes, I would think.
I would think.
I mean,
I would think
at least
15 feels like a lot. So look, anyway, before we get into that, so this is what Major League Baseball, Theo Epstein, Major League Baseball consultant now, no longer working for a specific team, working for the league, said, we have been asking hundreds and thousands through surveys, tens of thousands of baseball fans and players, executives and scouts, and everybody else. Major League Baseball consultant Theo Epstein said in 2021, and we do see some common trends in the best version of the game means to people. So he's like the young guy in the office, and they did all this work. They talked to everybody and said, we need some common thread, things. And the biggest one he said was speeding up the game. Yep. So they implemented the pitch clock. Do you have the actual rule there? Or do you want me? I have it if you want me to.
Yep. No. I've got it here. Let me just, okay. So the new rule, pitchers have 15 seconds to throw a pitch with the bases empty, 20 seconds with a runner on base. And intriguingly, within the pitch clock rule is the piece where the hitters have to be in the batter's box with 8 seconds to go on the pitch clock.
Right. And we saw already in a spring training game where a batter had 2 strikes in the bottom of the 9th with an opportunity to drive runs,
bases loaded,
change the score. And he wasn't in the box and got called for a batter's strike, which was strike 3, and it ended the game. Batter's strike.
Braves, Red Sox. Yeah.
Let's take the pitcher's piece first, Dave.
Yep, definitely. Absolutely.
15 seconds, when you watch it, it doesn't feel like enough time. Like, I'm all for not being a human rain delay on the mound and stomping around and rosin every pitch and, all of that. But 15 seems very hurried to me. Have you seen the placement of the clock itself? It's visually stunning.
Yeah, I've seen it in a couple different spots. What I was reading was, where some of the clocks are in spring training. It's going to be a little bit different when they get to the actual fields, the MLB fields. But yeah, it's going to be pretty obvious to everybody where it is, and it's not like they tucked it off to the side.
Oh no.
When you're watching the game, like you see it.
It's gonna be interesting from a viewing perspective. It takes up a lot of screen space, and it's definitely distracting from those ads that they've been running on green screens underneath. The rolling billboard that changes every half inning or whatever, that are underneath the pitcher and kind of like behind the batter and catcher extended.
Yeah,
you're not going to notice those, and so they're going to lose that advertising space. So you'll probably see them expand somewhere else with that. Unfortunately, that probably needs uniforms. Yeah.
That's a different. That's a different conversation.
Right.
Yeah. Let's hope we don't get there.
So the clock starts the moment the play ends, and you're considered pitching the moment you start moving into your windup. So there's going to be a lot of subjection on when exactly did the play end, did the clock start too early? I can envision those kind of controversies coming your way. Also embedded in this rule, before we get to the batter portion of it, the disengagement from the rubber.
Yes.
the pitcher can no longer throw over to first base 97 times.
Yep.
Okay.
Twice, correct?
Twice.
2 disengagements per plate appearance without penalty.
And then what?
After the 3rd step off, the pitcher will be charged with a balk unless at least one player advances a base or an out is made on the ensuing play after the step off.
Okay, so it's like an illegal pitch. A batter can still hit a balk or an illegal pitch if it's pitched, and if he gets a home run, you get the result of the play. They're not going to penalize the offense for a defensive penalty.
Correct.
So if he does step off a 3rd time and throw the ball down the right field line, and the runner on first gets the 3rd, great.
Runner on first gets the 3rd. They don't get an additional base for a balk.
But this is for only runners on first base, correct, Dave? If I'm not mistaken, when the runner gets to if there's a runner,
anytime the pitcher makes a pickoff attempt, fakes a pickoff, or simply steps off the rubber for any reason.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to clear that up because mine says, let's see. Pitchers will be required to begin their motion 15 seconds with the bases empty. That's the other part of the rule. Pitchers will be also limited to disengagements from the mound, i.e. pickoff attempts or step-offs per plate appearance with a runner on first. The disengagements reset the clock. So not only do you have 15 seconds to pitch, if you do take advantage of those 2 pickoff plays, as soon as you disengage the rubber, the clock resets. So you're getting the ball back from the first baseman and then pitch all within 15 seconds. Interesting.
No. So I think what you're going to see is, particularly in tighter spots, when big pitches need to be made, you're going to see them step off.
Right.
To reset the clock and give themselves a little bit more time. Now, how often they do that? Well, that's why it says after the 3rd time, then you're going to start to have the penalties happen. So
here's the first, I understand the pitch clock rule. I think it's too short. You might see it go to 20 or 25 seconds in the future. This one, Dave, I hate. I understand, the whole crowd boos as soon as there's a pickoff. And if you do it more than 2 or 3 times, they really get on the pitcher. But there's strategy and nuance there. Okay. You imagine these rules with Ricky Henderson or Lou Brock or some of the great base stealers of the past, there'd be 3rd pitch or 3rd, whatever, they'd be there. I mean, it's not even close.
Well, and I think that's what you're going to see. I think that's what's driving some of this is more activity on the base paths.
Right.
And you're going to see these players take off. And that's not even talking about
go through the roof. Yeah, we haven't gotten to the bases yet.
Right. We haven't even talked about the bases themselves.
But you're taking pitching strategy out of the game. And then you're also hitter strategy. There's a sub game being played between the pitcher and the hitter, mind game, stepping out and, quick pitching and all those things that make this game super interesting and are nuanced, built-in things that not necessarily in the rules or the designs of the game, but still are big factors. Those are all gone now. That's gone.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I don't know if you saw Max Scherzer's comments looking at the pitch clock, but he's and he actually asked one of the umpires in between innings, I think it was in between innings or after the game about it. But look, as soon as if that batter waits until they get in right, say like there's like 9 seconds left on the pitch clock. I mean, as soon as he's in there, they can throw it. And,
absolutely.
So
he's going the other way.
Right. So you're talking about, so I agree with you. There are some mind games and some nuanced things are going to disappear, but there's some other ones that are going to now show up, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. There's some pitchers that will probably take all 15 seconds, all 20 seconds, but there's going to be other ones that aren't, and then the good ones are going to be able to honestly adjust that
Oh yeah,
hitter
there's
to hitter and inning to inning, and that's going to drive the hitters crazy, and they're going to have to adjust to that too.
oh no, players will find ways to expose loopholes and openings and then bust it wide open.
Yep.
The other thing they got rid of also in this pitching rules, Dave, they've eliminated the funky set motions. Not your wind up. Wind up is your wind up. But remember the Yankees picked up a guy and he had been in Seattle where he had like a double hop and major league, he was a reliever, not very effective, wasn't there very long. And there's a couple of guys like that have to like, this is this is when I come to a set, I still shake, or my back
Yeah.
leg, all that's gone back to the original intent of the rule. No move or movement, intended to deceive the runner. You have to come to a full discernible stop. Again, that has gotten really loosely.
Oh yeah. Yes, it has.
Taken advantage of. Again, players found the loophole and exposed it, and so they're resetting that rule as well. And I think that's good. That's
Yep.
good.
I like that.
That'll be one thing you're going to see. A lot of excuse the expression, and if it's racist, someone at me. Mexican standoffs. The pitcher's going to come to a set.
Mm-hmm.
The runner is going to get off first, and everyone's just going to stand there until the pitch clock, expires. You're going to see, because, you used to change up and vary your, set position, wait times before you delivered.
Right. Which they can still do.
Sure, they could. Yeah.
It's just
inside the 15-second
right
clock.
inside. Well, if there's a runner on, in your example,
there.
there's 20 seconds because there's a runner on base.
Right. But there's just not a lot of room in that.
No. Nope.
20 seconds for getting the pitch, getting the grip right, all that stuff. Make sure defense is set. That's another thing, think about pitchers. If you're a good pitcher, you know what pitch you're going to throw. When you get the pitch from the catcher, you got to make sure your defense is set. If you're throwing a low and away fastball to a power righty, he's probably going to roll it over and bounce it to short. Well, if he's playing, way up the middle, then, you might adjust him. Mm-hmm. All of those things are gone, again, as a pitcher. So I think this pitching rules overall I'm most down on, but I am going to watch with an open mind. What say you, David?
I really like, I like all of the things that they're doing. I'll be honest. I've watched just a little bit. I watched some of a Yankees game yesterday. It was on. I was not completely dialed into all of the rules things. Nothing happened while I was watching it. But I would say it looked like baseball to me. The pitchers, you could see the clock. That was like the only difference, but the game seemed to happen pretty crisply. And again, I watched maybe an inning or so. And so I really like the rules. There's some pieces to it that are going to be interesting. I did read that Major League Baseball is turning things around very quickly. There's at the end of games, teams have questions about interpretations and different things with the new rules.
They should be on the ground.
They are. And so Major League Baseball is then putting communication back out almost, as I was reading, almost in real time, back to the teams so that they can go back to their players and say, look, you had a question about this. This is what Major League Baseball is saying. This is how the umpires, I've also read too that some of the umpires have talked to the minor league umpires to get a sense of that. And,
and they'll be coming up said, too. Remember, we've seen a lot of retirements in Major League Umpires Association in the last few years. And these new umps, like you said earlier, David, have experienced this in the minors. And so as they'll already have seen some of the nuances and ways teams are taking advantage too. We referred to it a little bit. The other major thing, Dave, is the shift restrictions.
Yep.
No more, softball right center fielder situations. Nope. The new rule says the defense team must have a minimum of 4 players on the infield with at least 2 infielders completely on either side of second base. These
Yep.
restrictions are intended to increase batting average and balls in play and allow infielders to better showcase their athleticism with great defensive plays. So, will we see a 400 hitter?
No, I'm not convinced that that is the case, but you're going to see averages go up. Particularly, I think with left-handers, I think you saw more shifting with lefties than righties. Again, this is another one that I really like. Mike, there was one thing that I read was really interesting and totally makes sense. And I'm glad they got down into the weeds on this one. If you start an inning at first or second base, you have to stay on that side of the infield for that inning.
For the whole
inning, unless there's a mid-inning substitution.
So if you're a traditional first or second baseman, you can't, the next batter, the second baseman, third baseman swap. Is that what you're telling me?
Correct. Like you can't move those. And same thing, shortstop and third base have to stay on that side.
I don't get that one, buddy. Tell me what the point of that is.
I think a lot of times in some of the shifts, I think you would see
the
shortstop going over to right
field
just because of the arm,
or the second baseman going to short right and the shortstop going over to second.
Right.
I get that.
That's what I think.
Okay. Interesting. That would be interesting to see if that even comes into play.
I'm not sure how much it will because they're limiting the players on the field, but now you can't move them either.
So we've mentioned stolen bases. This is going to help stolen bases too, because you're not going to have with the shift a defender right behind second base.
Yep.
Not that that's these guys are athletic and have done it for years and are going to figure out how to get there in time for a tag. I get that, but it is a little bit, if the shortstop's shaded towards the hole and he's the one that's covering, because it's a lefty batter, and it could be runner, defender, and ball all getting to the base at the same time, and you can have some interesting situations. It just increases the ability for that. But I do like the athleticism on defense aspect that's going to bring. You're going to see better shortstops. You'll see, Carlos Correa, considered one of the best shortstops in Major League Baseball, more for his bat. We're going to see if he's really a defensive liability, especially with that bad angle.
Yeah.
Strong arm, but I don't think he's got the range that some of the, and honestly, we're going to say IKF on the Yankees probably do better.
Yeah.
He's got the range. So.
Yep. So I think that's, and it's not just the shortstops. I think it's, any of the, you can second baseman, third baseman, you're really going to be able to see, good defense and bad defense. Better.
This is a terrible question. Where did Correa end up? Because the Mets divorced him, right?
Minnesota, did he not?
He went back to the Twins.
Yes, because
I'm pretty sure you're right now. Just say that.
It was the Giants, then it was the Mets,
right?
And then he ended up back in Minnesota because
I know it was somewhere
because they had done a lot of the medical stuff, and this is what was put out there.
They probably signed off on him originally,
right? They had understood the medical issues a little bit more.
Okay.
So yes, back in Minnesota.
Dave, take us through the last one, the bigger bases.
Oh boy, the bigger bases. If you've seen any of the memes out there, oh my gosh, they're just hilarious with the bases, like this, just huge. But so they go from 15. Now this is where did I read it? It's 15 inches to 18 inches, but it's square inches.
Correct.
Right. So
it's not 3 inches total.
Right. It's 3 square inches. So for example, like first and third are now a little bit closer to home plate based on that. And, and then obviously all of the bases are a little bit closer to each other. Now, what they're trying to get at is reducing injuries while increasing stolen base attempts. So I don't,
So,
I mean, we've seen some injuries. Maybe I just haven't paid attention to how many people have broken wrists and fingers and that kind of stuff
well,
sliding.
with the oven mitt, that's kind of eliminated a lot of that everyone wears. Um, with the swim moves and then all the jumping and stuff is going to be very interesting now. They're going to have more room to work with to see what guys try to
Yeah.
get in there. This might actually necessitate an increase in challenges because you're going to have guys trying all kinds of stuff, and with a lot of base,
Mm-hmm.
there's no way the ump's going to see all sides at every angle. It's just impossible to be in the right position and not obstruct the play. So it'll be very interesting to see how that goes. Now, this is not home plate, right, Dave? Just the 3 bags.
Right.
Yeah. So in a previous life, umpired in a men's 55 and over baseball league, and baseball these guys are playing, but it was, the ball was softer. They had one of those softer
Softy
baseballs, yeah.
Yep.
And the pitches were lobbed in. It wasn't like the pitcher was trying to strike people out. And every base had like a 3-foot extension on it. No, that was different. That was
that's the softball league.
Right,
sorry. Yeah.
So it had like a 3-foot extension on it that some guy had designed. And so there wasn't no contact. I don't know if you ever played in a men's older basketball league, 40 and over, no contact. If you foul, you got to go. It's not, they're not trying to get hurt,
Yeah.
So this reminds me of that because I don't know, it just made for a lot of very funny. Oh, you can overrun any base too in this league. So you'd have, Grandpa in left center field when he overran second because he, went past. I don't know. It's just funny stuff. This is what it reminds me of. I do think it'll help the stealing, but I don't know. Like you said, that the safety was as much an issue as we think it is, but maybe it is. So all this being said, Major League Baseball in 2023 is not going to look like your father's baseball, your grandfather's baseball for sure. Anytime Major League Baseball in particular is going to change any rule, it's by us old heads, as they say. We resist it because there's so much history in baseball. In baseball, records mean more. I don't care who you are, what kind of sports fan you are, they just mean more. I don't know if it's because they've been around so long or the names attached to them.
Yeah.
The names attached to them, the feats that have been accomplished at a relatively young age in the sport are just now getting matched and surpassed. And the athletes have certainly evolved over the years in size and athleticism. So that's how sacred those baseball records are. So the steals record, could that be in jeopardy? I'm joking about someone hitting 400, but it's way more possible than it was last year with the shift.
I mean, maybe we see more 350, 360, 370 hitters.
Right.
I think that's entirely possible. The stolen bases, I mean, if you've seen the numbers, like I think they said, somebody'd have to steal. Well, even if they stole 40 bases for the next 20 seasons, they still don't even come close to Ricky Henderson. So something along those lines. So it's going to take a while for that. And you have to remember, folks, if you haven't, the Vince Colemans and the Ricky Hendersons, these are guys that were stealing over 100 bases in a season. I can't even remember the last time that we had that. I think the last few years, like the person leading the league is like in 50,
right,
55 maybe.
Right.
It's just not even close. I think
Sterling Marte had a whole bunch last year for the Mets. I just feel bad for guys like D. Gordon and these speedsters that came up in an era where they just stolen base just was not valued and definitely not attempted. These guys that in any other era in baseball would have had big impact. They tried to make them power hitters. Anything else on the rules, or do you want to talk about the World Baseball Classic, David?
Well, you just said something that made me think of something as far as the stolen bases go. This will be interesting to watch because one of the things back, and it doesn't, when the stolen base, you want to say the 80s or even in the 90s, let's say the 80s, when the stolen base was so prevalent, was, hitters taking pitches, so that the runner could get on. And also, the runners moving and being a distraction to the hitter. So it's just, I will be curious to see if any of that plays a bigger role as far as some of the big hitters up there and them potentially getting distracted because of some of those changes.
I think also, Dave, the lineup is going to mean way more, as far as getting speedsters on base and high on base percentage guys that can steal and runners in scoring position. I don't know if the Yankees in particular are going to do a lot of that. I think you'll still see, I'm really hoping for a big bounce back year for LeMahieu health wise. And if we could get him at the top of the order, he's definitely a high on base guy, but you're still going to see Stanton and Judge hitting high in the order. But traditional lineups are going to come back. What do you think? Buck Showalter is going to put out, power hitters 1 through 5, and then bunch the other guys at the bottom? No way. He's going to be very creative.
Yeah.
So
and it'll be interesting to see with what does somebody like Bruce Bochy do in Texas. Long time National League manager with the San Francisco Giants. He's back in the mix. Guarantee he's going to be, moving lineups around and doing a lot of the stealing and stuff. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see all of that. That being said, though, before all of this gets going, and we just had the first weekend's worth of spring training games, is the World Baseball Classic, Mike.
Yeah. One of us is pretty excited about it and one of us isn't, Dave. I think it's exciting to see, the international flavor and, all the fun that can be had and the players around the world, see the game grown so much in these different countries. And I always like seeing American players on different nationality teams. It makes me laugh. But the games are going to start on the 8th here. Actually, there's a game on the 7th, I think, at 11:30 Eastern PM,
because they're in Japan
or wherever. So
good
luck. So I got the pools. There's 4 pools here. I'll go through them really quickly. Tell me which pool of teams. So it's just like the World Cup. Four teams in each pool. Top 2 teams.
5 teams in each pool.
Right. Top 2 teams, after everyone plays, moves on to an elimination bracket. Pool A is in Taiwan. You've got Chinese Taipei, the Netherlands, Panama, Cuba, Italy. Tough bracket.
Panama.
Pool B, Tokyo, Japan, China, Korea, Australia, Czech Republic. Pool C in Phoenix, Arizona, USA, Canada, Great Britain, Mexico, Colombia. And then Pool D is in Miami, Florida, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Israel, Nicaragua, and Venezuela.
Oh, Pool D.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the pool.
Because you have the Dominican and Puerto Rico.
Yeah, and Venezuela.
And Venezuela. Yeah.
Nicaragua and Israel's the only, punching bag in that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you
and they're down in Miami, so you're going to get
it's going to be
a ton of, and I'm sure that's very intentional and good, good for the World Baseball Classic for doing that. Pool D,
with
definitely.
The last American in Miami, please grab the flag on the way out. Sorry.
Oh boy. 0 for 2 with the comments. All right, moving on.
Okay. Sorry. Odds to win. Who do you think the favorite is, Dave? And if you didn't see, and even if you did, pretend you didn't. Who do you think the favorite is?
I didn't see the odds, but what I did read about the teams is the Dominican is the team that has the most talent. So my guess would be they are the favorite.
They are the favorite, 2-1 odds to win the whole thing. United States second at 250. So, not far away. Japan, Puerto Rico, Venezuela. So in the top five, three of them are in that final pool that we talked about. So yeah, definitely the pool of death. Who, David, has the longest odds to win the whole thing? Worst team?
I was thinking either Israel or the Netherlands.
Let's see. The Netherlands is about middle of the pack, plus 5,000, so 50-1.
Okay.
Israel is fourth from the bottom, 275,000 to 1.
Okay.
That's a big payoff if they win it. And there's three worse than that: China, the Czech Republic, and bringing up the rear,
Great Britain.
Great Britain. Damn redcoats, get them out of here.
And that is by the way, that is the team that the US opens against on March 11th in Arizona.
Great Britain and Canada in the same pool with them. I mean, they really who else did they get? Some South American countries, right?
You're the one with the bracket in front of
you. Yeah, Canada, Great Britain, Mexico.
Oh, Mexico.
And Colombia.
Yeah, so, I mean, those aren't terrible.
They'll be all right.
Those are teams that are going to be a little more challenging. But
Mexico's in the top 10 for odds to win,
but Great Britain
at 18-1. But Great Britain, 40,000 to 1, or 400,000 to 1. 400,000.
Ooh,
yeah.
So I got to put $10 on them, and I win. Yeah. How much?
A
lot.
4.01 million.
There you go.
I have it right. It's funny what I copy and pasted those. It was, if you bet $10, here's what you would win on all of them.
So, nice.
So I had that information at my fingertips. So the last thing, you have any idea where to watch these games, Dave? Did you look that up? Have you seen any?
Nope. I didn't. I scanned the teams and I saw some stuff was on Fox.
It's all on Fox. 47 games will be spread out on Fox, FS1, FS2, Fox Deportes, and Tubi, which I believe is the free streaming.
Yeah. Tubi's a free.
They can also be seen on the Fox Sports app. So Fox Sports, they are not, I repeat, not using any of the new MLB rules. So this is going to be old school.
Yeah, this
baseball,
is 2022 rules.
Old school, Dick.
Old school.
All the way back to last year.
Yep.
2022. So, folks, that's kind of our prep for the upcoming baseball season. We will definitely get into previewing both leagues and all the divisions, bring some people on to talk about it, get us jacked up for a Yankees season that is championship or bust, frankly, for sure. Yep. And a lot of good stuff happening. Unless you're Dave, try to enjoy the World Baseball Classic.
I'll watch some of it. I'm sure it's going to be exciting.
You're right. There'll be one or two plays that'll be crazy.
Well, it's one of those things that I'm just worried. As I texted you earlier, I just am worried about the Yankees players that are playing and them getting hurt, and really any of them, but specifically the Yankees players. I don't know when else you play this. I remember when they started it. There's not a good time to play these games. Right. Really. So
no, I think this is the best they can do.
This is the best they can do
playing these games. I agree.
Yep.
I agree. So folks, we'll be watching the World Baseball Classic and spring training and getting back to you, reporting all our stellar observations and questions. In the meantime, watch for us on Facebook, Twitter, and the IG as we post stories and polls for you to interact us with. Also, reach out to us. Let us know some teams maybe you want to look at over the preview here, and some of your thoughts on who's going to win it all and who's going to have a disappointing season in this year's 2023 MLB season.
The Boston Red Sox.
Right. Terrible. In the meantime, This is Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen as we strive for 5.